told we're living in the best time in history, yet a quiet question lingers beneath the noise. If modern life is so advanced, why does it still feel empty? Picture a supermarket aisle, walls of cereal, chocolate-flavored, gluten-free, organic, sugar-loaded, oat-based, keto-approved. It feels like freedom. So many choices, so much control. But pause. Who decided which cereals would exist in the first place? Who chose the ingredients, the packaging, the idea that cereal should be the default breakfast? You didn't plant the grains, you didn't design the boxes, and most likely, you didn't question the category itself. You simply chose from a pre-selected menu, curated long before you arrived. This is the modern illusion of freedom. We confuse variety with freedom. 50 brands of toothpaste isn't freedom. Freedom is the capacity to question why toothpaste is a billion-dollar industry, who profits from that normalization, and whether the choice is even necessary. The same structure holds across life. Career paths. You're free to choose, but only within the lanes the system deems economically viable. Opinions. You can say what you want, as long as it fits the boundaries of what's considered acceptable. The window is narrow but decorated beautifully, so the box feels like a palace. The result is a subtle trap. Conform while feeling like you're choosing. On social media, it gets sharper. You're promised a stage and a voice, but the stage is tuned for outrage, novelty, and quick reward. Say something real and you risk invisibility. Post something trendy and you might go viral. It's not self-expression, it's performance. Even rebellion is merchandised. Want to feel like a nonconformist? There's a brand for that, an aesthetic, a playlist, a hashtag. The architecture is precise, the feeling of freedom is simulated, and the lanes were painted long before you touched the wheel. Here's the mechanism that makes the illusion so convincing. It rewards you just enough. Just enough dopamine, just enough success, just enough applause to keep you from asking the dangerous question, is this truly freedom? Real freedom begins when you stop mistaking the menu for the meal. It begins when you can see the frame and ask who built it and why. Now step into a different room, the productivity trap. You wake up, and before brushing your teeth, you feel behind. The calendar pings, the inbox swells. A motivational quote reminds you that you have the same 24 hours as a billionaire, and the day turns into a race to outrun a feeling you can't name. Society applauds the grinders, the hustle never stops, sleep becomes a weakness. We internalize a simple equation. More doing equals more value. We don't test it, we absorb it through gold stars, grades, promotions, likes, and shares until it becomes the air itself. This system is elegant because it ties worth to output. The more insecure you feel, the more productive you try to be. You buy planners, apps, courses. You stack goals on goals thinking the next achievement will finally be the one that brings peace. But the bar moves. The treadmill has no off switch. Even leisure gets repackaged as performance. Read, but track it. Walk, but count it. Rest, but brand it as recovery. In the language of the machine, existence must be justified. But you are not a machine. Nature does not bloom year-round. Why should you? This is not just a time management mistake. It's an identity crisis. We've become addicted not to work itself, but to being seen as useful, efficient, productive. If identity equals output, then stillness feels like failure. But what happens when you stop? Who are you when you're not doing? Here is a radical notion. You are enough even when you are still. You don't have to earn rest. Existence is not a performance. Next, identity, the quiet stage. Try to answer, who am I? Watch how quickly the mind grabs roles and labels: student, manager, parent, creative, introvert, ambitious. We speak in titles as if they define us completely. Where did these identities come from? From birth, the world starts shaping the mask. Gender assigned, culture imprinted, a name repeated until it fuses to the sense of me. We learn what's rewarded, what's punished, and we adapt. A little at a time, the raw self is traded for something safer, neater, more acceptable. Modern life turns identity into branding. Social media doesn't just reflect who you are, It tells you who you should be. Curated faces, curated lives, curated success. A whisper appears, should I become that too? Clothes, phones, cars, language, content all become identity signals. Without noticing, the self becomes a campaign. Every photo, every caption, every story, each a press release for a persona. Over time, performance becomes reality. The mask fuses to the skin. Here's the unsettling truth. Most people never meet their deeper self. They navigate roles crafted for survival, not authenticity. They confuse what works with what's true. But sometimes, in a moment of silence or during a breakdown, the mask slips. There's a glimpse of something unpolished and undeniably alive, a version that doesn't need to impress or prove. That's the real self. This doesn't mean rejecting every role. Roles can serve. But when they become cages, when they silence the questions that matter, it's time to ask, who am I without the costume? Try this simple act of rebellion. Sit in silence. No music, no phone, no feed. Ask, if no one were watching, what would I still care about? What would I stop doing today? The answer won't roar, it will whisper. That's how the self speaks, beneath the noise. One more layer, comfort. We love comfort, and why wouldn't we? The soft bed, the hot shower, the instant food, the one-click delivery. Comfort feels safe, predictable, warm. But comfort shapes us. Overindulged, it dulls the edge that allows growth. Every innovation promises less effort. Why walk if you can ride? Why cook if you can order? Why talk if you can scroll? Efficiency trades friction for fluidity, but friction is where muscles grow and meaning emerges. The deeper trap is that comfort can become a quiet anesthetic. Not evil, simply numbing. When you're fed, entertained, and distracted, you're less likely to question, to resist, to wake up. A comfortable population is controllable. That's the paradox. The world feels good enough, so you stop asking for what truly matters. You stop dreaming, not because you don't want more, but because the couch is soft and the screen is bright. The antidote is not to reject comfort, but to choose discomfort deliberately, small and consistent, as a way to remember that you're alive. Do hard things not for the badge, but for the recalibration of your inner compass. In that space, something wakes up. At some point, beneath the schedules, the screens, the roles, a subtle emptiness emerges. It's not dramatic. It appears in the pauses, driving alone after a long day, when the episode ends and the room goes quiet, when staring at the ceiling at night, a whisper rises. Is this really me? Somewhere along the way, authentic curiosity was traded for efficiency. Success became urgent. Authenticity became optional. This is the tragedy of the modern mind. We know the price of everything, the value of very little. We can name celebrities and stocks and trends faster than we can name our own needs. We live hyper-connected, and yet many feel profoundly alone with themselves because the self has been abandoned, not by a grand choice, but by 1,000 tiny defaults. Modern society doesn't demand you forget. It keeps you too busy to remember. The calendar decides who you are today. The phone tells you what matters. The world rewards the version of you that's most useful to it, not necessarily the version that's most you. Here is the truth no one profits from telling. You are not your productivity, your opinions, or your profile. You are a living consciousness with desires that weren't sold to you and feelings that don't need filters. The way back is not through more achievement. It's through attention. Attention is the currency of life. Where it goes, life grows. Begin with small, defiant moments. Choose silence over a reflexive scroll. Write a page not to publish, but to hear your own thoughts again. Say no, not because it optimizes your calendar, but because it honors your boundary. Sit outside without a device and let boredom stretch your mind back to its full size. Do nothing, on purpose, and watch as the guilt arises and fades. You'll discover something profound. Worth is intrinsic. Rest does not require permission. When attention returns home, memory stirs. You remember what you love because it lights something inside you, not because it trends. You remember what you fear because it holds truth. Not because someone told you to avoid it. You remember what matters for soul, not for status. The questions shift from "what should I do next?" to "who am I becoming when no one asks watching?" That's the turning point. You stop performing and start being. Presence replaces performance. As presence deepens, the grand illusion begins to lose power. The staged freedom of infinite options inside a decorated box, exposed. The worth tied to output, exposed. The curated identity exposed. The anesthetic comfort exposed. You start to wake up, not just from sleep, but from the trance of a life you didn't fully choose. And in that waking, you become dangerous in the most beautiful way. Dangerous to systems that profit from your disconnection. Dangerous to narratives that depend on your obedience. Dangerous because a person who knows themselves is not easily controlled. They don't chase, they choose. So how do you live this shift day to day? Use a 3-step practice that compounds quietly. Step 1, see the menu. When you face a decision, pause for 30 seconds and ask 3 questions. What's the invisible menu here? Who benefits if I pick A or B? Is there a C outside the frame? If a small test exists for C, schedule it within 24 hours. Action creates clarity. Step 2, build hook value cycles for your own attention. Work in focused 60 to 90-minute blocks. Then take a 3-minute screenless pause. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Then write 1 question for the next block and 1 micro-deliverable. You're training attention to return, not to scatter. Step 3, architect a personal marathon. Choose a weekly theme, health, study, creation. Stack 3 simple 30-minute episodes across the week with explicit transitions. When A ends, B begins. Reduce context switching. Increase continuity. Become the algorithm for your own life. Reintroduce friction where it matters. 1 micro discomfort per day. A cold shower finish for 20 seconds. A walk with no audio. Leaving the phone at home for a short errand. The goal isn't toughness, it's sensitivity. Sensitivity to life returns when numbness recedes. In conversations, choose honesty over performance. In choices, ask what your deepest self would pick, not what your audience would applaud. In rest, choose presence over sedation, and build a library for your future self. Create a playlist of your own long-form truths, books, lectures, conversations that nourish instead of numb. Return to them when the noise gets loud. Make it easy to do the right thing and slightly harder to do the wrong thing. That small design choice shifts entire trajectories. This is the great deception of modern society. Not control by force, control by illusion. Beautiful menus. Endless lanes that lead in circles. Productivity that flatters while it drains. Identities that shine while they imprison. Comfort that soothes while it sedates. And yet, the way out is not complicated. See the box. Question the defaults. Return attention home. Act in small, stubborn ways that align with what is true. Repeat quietly until it becomes who you are. If this message resonates, keep going. Watch the next exploration where we break down how to communicate truth in a world optimized for noise, crafting titles, visuals, and openings that confirm real value in 3 seconds without sacrificing depth. Not for performance, for precision. Not for applause, for alignment. Welcome back to yourself. You were never lost, only distracted.